Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the SLB Show. Matt, Louis and Grant are back. And yeah, we've got an action-filled week. We've obviously dropped our emergency podcast, Matt and I, yesterday across any podcast platform and YouTube, so you can go check that out and hear what Matt and I have to say on that. But Louis wasn't able to join us last night. So Louis, I'm very curious. Obviously, the news broke about Chris Grant stepping down from BBF. All happened on a Sunday afternoon. We'd kind of got a little bit of word of it happening a few days beforehand. But yeah, what's your views on it? Just quickly. Nothing crazy, all right?
Okay, nothing crazy. My views are, good riddance. That's nothing crazy. I think I'm fair to say that. Good riddance. But the whole thing is, what comes next? There's a power vacuum now. The most important thing are the next steps after someone's been deposed, practically enough. So what comes next? We clearly need the board to go. That's my viewpoint, and I'll stand by that. We need the board to go because they abided by that the whole situation. They abided by that, so they need ridding. And I just think this situation is a place where we can kind of enact things that have been much needed in British basketball. It's a situation that can be exploited for the good in terms of, all the stuff, we've been perennially underperforming. So now's a chance to do something. So that's my thought.
So, we were trying to think of this yesterday. There's just nothing you'd keep, is there really, from...
Sack it off. Just cut it off, man.
It's blank sheet of paper time, I think.
Hell yeah.
And I suppose that's where the hurt comes from, because a blank sheet of paper takes time to fill up, doesn't it? Let's be honest. So it's going to be really interesting what happens short, medium, long term, like FIBA windows coming up, even things like the Commonwealth Games 3x3. You'd wonder if that'll be impacted hugely, because would Scotland and England be able to compete in that? Do you know what I mean? Like, potentially that could be jeopardized, and that's not something that's been mentioned yet. And I think we've obviously seen the announcements of changes to the board, but it is like, do we expect to hear from FIBA directly? I don't know.
Okay, so when they intervened with Japan, they did send out like a. Well, I sent it in the Discord, but they sent out like their plan, like they enacted like this Japan 2024 thing.
Okay.
Where they had a 5-stage or whatever kind of plan to, reform the whole situation. And they did inform people exterior to that. So you would expect something like that to come out, hopefully, soon.
Hopefully we hear about that sooner rather than later. And I'm curious to see, like, what do the home counties say? They're I think both quite close to, I said yesterday, appointing new CEOs. You then wonder, okay, that's an opportunity for new voices at the table. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be new people anyway that you hope are going to be steering the sports. Matt, you got anything else I want to add?
I just wanted to know what you guys' thought was, like, do we need basketball people? Because I was listening to SNB, and they were very much like, we'll get someone in from rowing or sailing or equestrian or something who's like a career member of a board, who then will just go off and be a member of another board and that another board. But like, is it time to just get the basketball people in to run basketball?
And this is always the age-old debate. Like, Dave likes to bring that one up. We've had people from all sorts of sports come in, but that generally what happened across all sports governing bodies, both before 2012 and since 2012. It's all about this knowledge share. And I suppose it's the two-ended sword. And like, if you're putting someone at the top of your ship, or at the front of the ship, who's a non-basketball person, then you need to fill around them with basketball people. If you're then putting someone, wait your turn. If you're putting someone at the front of the ship who's a basketball person, then you need to fill them with business people and people with industry experience. Like, both can work. Both have worked in numerous other sports. I think sometimes basketball thinks we're above that, but then we don't help the non-basketball person necessarily by giving them good level basketball expertise surrounding them. Does that make sense?
Yes. So why I put my hand up at that particular point was that basically, I mean, we saw it last time. Chris Grant had basically carte blanche. No one did anything, and that's why the ball must go. But that's our point. But we haven't really ever had a basketball person. When was the last time we had an actual proper basketball person in charge? You know, we had, the athletics guy previously,
who's banned from being in sports governance.
Look, okay, it's about getting the right person in. Okay, not someone like Chris Grant who's going to exploit the sport. You know, we need people that care deeply about the sport and not someone like, because what's his name? Amici. John Amici. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. John Amici is a basketball person, but from my viewpoint, he wouldn't be the right person. So it's about getting the right person in that has that level of relationship with both the professional side and also can mediate in order to enforce good things in terms of basketball development, in terms of youth development, etc. So it's about getting someone that can, mediate.
I suppose that's where the beauty of sports governance is. Like I was talking to someone over the weekend. Like if you look at Scottish Rugby, have the two. Obviously, they've got Scottish Rugby, but they've got the two pro teams. Glasgow's managing director is a rugby guy. Edinburgh's managing director, his background's as a lawyer. So you've got both examples there up here, and you could say what's in a better fit at the moment is Glasgow. Glasgow's led by a rugby guy. Does that mean anything? Maybe eyes, maybe no. Edinburgh have had this guy leading them for a number of years now. They probably need to freshen that up. But it's who you surround people in your matrix with that makes this work. Like, I think you've said it there, Louis, the board for a long time were maybe a bit MIA. Like, very few of them turned up at games. Very few of them got involved in GB stuff as such. You'd ask people, oh, did you see anyone from the board? And it'd be Chris Grant, and that'd be it. And you've got to think these people want people who want to be involved in the basketball community. So, yeah. But then if you have a basketball person at the front, do they have the commercial experience, the backing of, or knowledge of sport to make it work? So, Matt, does that even answer your question? Because I think I've said both sides of it. Louis very much, let's get a basketball person in. And basically, Louis wants Lol Deng and Pops Mensa Bonsu.
No, I want Dave. Get Dave in, bro.
Get Dave.
Get Dave Forrester in.
Get Sam and Dave.
Man. Get the boys in.
I think that does definitely help. I think, as ever, there's probably nuance to the conversation, but I just thought I'd get you guys' input. But I think as long as the FIBA follow that Japan 24 model of timely information and clear stuff, then I'll be happy. But you guys will hear all about it on the SLB show.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. The other big news, I suppose, in British basketball is what on earth is going on at the Leicester Riders. A 0-4 start to the season. Duke Shelton waved goodbye. Mike Mitchell Jr. waved goodbye. Obviously, they've had numerous changes. Denzel Mahoney's been gone, didn't even last the preseason. Johnny O'Neill, who, let's be honest, we were huge on in the preseason, told them no before the season starts. Is this one of these situations where it's all just gone wrong for no one's real fault and they're having to make some drastic changes?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's no fault on behalf of Leicester, because they have made a couple recruitment decisions that I haven't agreed with in terms of roster balance, which I think has will evidence itself as the season goes on in terms of players like, in terms of roster balance, they have guys like Travis Evie, Raekwon Battle, who I think is very interesting an acquisition in terms of, especially at this stage of the season, getting in someone like a Teddy Buckets, I think, like a proxy of that. I think, because we saw the Rob squad last season, when they had a lot of spacing, they had a lot of floor spacing, with a guy like Abercrombie at the 4th spot, for example. And this season they have a guy like Acott at the 4, who's not, who's kind of he's a little bit ball dominant, to be honest. He's not a great 3-point shooter. So so it's in terms of squad balance in the typical Rob roster, I think there have been mistakes there. And obviously Mike Mitchell has underperformed, so they obviously needs to replace that. But in terms of what happens next, I'm not sure it's pluggable. Even if they get like a really good PG in, it's still going to be tough considering the pieces around the squad. So I haven't answered that at all.
No, hey, that's what podcast is all about. But their statement did say that new signings will be in place for the game this weekend. So I suspect we'll get an announcement probably in Thursday, Friday. So you listen to this, we may already have new players out. Look for Louis' thoughts on them on X as he posted on that. So give him a follow on that. But is this a case where we see what teams are spending? And Leicester last season recruited really well. I know Kane, as my mate, decides to go for a wonder, but we saw Johnny O'Neill was fundamental to what Leicester were going to try and do this year. Let's be honest. Nate Martin's injured. Again, 4 games in, you don't expect that. Mike Mitchell's not going to cut it. Acott's, as Louis just said, Denzel Mahoney you brought in that was the one question mark of the whole Leicester's recruitment.
We both said that. We both
were like, what's going on here? Who we were both surprised even ended up getting in the country. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But we always joke about who's going to be the team that makes the first changes. I mean, Leicester, we get 12 we're allowed 12 imports, and okay, Johnny O'Neill won't count as that, and probably Mahoney won't either. But it feels like Leicester are already having to churn out players and are almost now at the stage where they're hoping it just clicks.
It's a trick. It's weird that it feels like this isn't uncharted territory for Leicester, whereas it feels like another team. There are other teams that do it around the league, but they'll kind of use the first couple of weeks to kind of road test some people, and then they'll chop it, and then they'll get some more in. So I don't know how surprised we should be feeling about it, but or if there's just Rob's big plan, and this is just kind of what he does. It's a long odd seasons. He can kind of chop and cut people and see how it works and stuff like that. But obviously, another weird thing is it's because they're the reigning champs, right? That's all the playoff champs. So it's just like that's what makes the optics look weird. But I was kind of having a look at their record today, and 4 straight losses is bad, right? But they lost by 7 to the Lions, which is borderline a scheduled L for every team in the league at this point, really. Lost by 4 to the Flyers, who are having a very good season. Got the absolute brakes beaten off them by Sheffield, lost by 28. And they lost by 15 to Manchester. So it's half of them are kind of competitive, half of them they're kind of within a couple of things, but they're also like they're not scoring very much. So they scored less than 70 points in 3 of the 4 games, which is bad for anyone. But they held London and Bristol to less than 80. So it's like, although they're winless, it's kind of not hopeless, but I think maybe our perception of Leicester is always like they'll be there and thereabouts because Leicester. But it's just very strange. But they have had the toughest run of any team, I think is probably fair to say.
I think I think we said that last week. We talked about their schedule where they defeats due to, and also Matt and I are drinking Stellas. It's Monday Stella Club tonight. Louis just didn't get the memo, so cheers, Matt. Monday might just become we get a beer and we cheers each other for the week.
We're just such bloody lads.
We're just
a bunch of bloody lads.
Just boys. I've lost train of thought. Now, schedule's difficult schedule for Leicester to start with, but they just aren't looking good. London game, they actually played really well, which maybe says more about London's value. Bristol, they had chances. But since then, the 2 other defeats, it feels like they're not even in those games.
Yeah, they looked awful. Like that Sheffield game was just bad. I mean, obviously they lost by 30, but like, okay. So like I said earlier,
Liking this guy when he goes, okay.
But Raycon, I think there's a level of desperation with that kind of Raycon signing and that Acot signing. I like you said about the offensive, kind of their offensive struggles. Like, I think, like, okay, getting in someone like Rayquan Battle, someone who's purely a scorer, okay, to kind of plug the other holes that they have in terms of kind of their offensive issues, so to speak. You know, I think that just smacks of kind of a level of desperation. You know, getting a guy like Acot who's a scorer, maybe not a very good team fit in terms of roster balance, as I stated earlier. I think that's kind of a little bit desperate. You know, it just feels like, okay, they're going against the identity that worked so well the past few years. You know, they had loads of team oriented players, you know, and now they have this roster of kind of odd fitting players. And then they just got rid of their main guy, Duke. I mean, obviously not main guy, but like a big kind of stalwart of the team. Like, it's very difficult to get another British 5-man at this level at this stage of the season, you know. And also, you know, Duke provides a unique skill set. You know, defense is like his skill as a roller. You know, he's a good roller to the rim, okay, which collapses the defense. People have to tag the roller, etc. You know, so in terms of his value, you know, he has a value in this league, and that's just really difficult to replace, you know, as an American like British 5. So it's not looking good, bruv. That's my thing. So
it's not looking good. But it's one thing that it might have been Wayne said, as British basketball goes, all comes swings and roundabouts. Leicester to still win the playoffs.
Now that I've said that, yeah. It happens every time. I'm bad luck to myself.
No. All right, let's move on. Let's talk. We'll go for the games. There's talking points from all the games this week, which are, pardon me, they make us our job easier, I suppose. But first game on the slate was obviously the Lions at the Eagles. Lions get the win again. Not convincingly done. Eagles, though, rely heavily, once again, like the last couple of seasons, say one player, and it was Rayshon Taylor this week. What did he put up? 35 points or something? 32? But a lot of points. They always, every game, seems to have one or two players step up and they score big rather than the point load being spread. Is that just the definition of Mark Struttel's vibes ball? Just feed the hungry bear. Just feed the hungry guy.
Feed Rayshon Taylor. Get him buckets, man. He went crazy that game. We have to admit. But again, it comes down to kind of roster balance. We, like me and Grant stated in the YouTube video we did, watch that. Shout out. But like there was an issue with kind of their level of, well, guards, practically speaking, the level of guards and the ability to create off the dribble, you know, create advantages, etc. And that kind of came to a head in a game against London with a lot of size, length, athleticism, made it very difficult for their guys to create anything because they're so athletic and, you know, difficult to shake. So vis-a-vis, you know, we're seeing these issues where it has to be Maceo scoring a ton. Lions kind of, I mean, he still had a pretty decent game, but Lions kind of, well, because obviously they have more comparable athletes that will stop Maceo, you know, makes it more difficult. But basically, you know, they're like we said, the roster balance, etc., makes it so that we have these games where it has to be one or two guys because they don't have the kind of, and also because Rayshon Taylor, who's obviously taken a lot of on-ball reps, isn't a very good playmaker. I think that's fair to say. He's a scorer. So we do get these games where Rayshon Taylor is handling the ball a lot. He's not really creating for others. Marco Antony's not really, he wasn't really scoring that game, but yeah, that's what I've got. So,
what are you feeling on the Eagles, Matthew?
Yeah, it just feels like rinse and repeat of last time, but like the last few years, but just kind of diminishing returns at the moment. Like they kind of, was it last year or the year before that they had there's like they had three very, very good, I think it was last year. My mind's gone blank. Probably because
you're going to say the year before when they had Larry,
Tres
JJ,
Amigos.
the Tres Amigos.
Yeah, that kind
McGill
of thing.
season.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost just like if we just get loads of scorers, one of them will go off. Or two of them will go off, and that'll be great. But then it kind of, if they don't, then someone else will. And it just kind of feels like a bit of an extension of that. I'm not yet. Big caveat, it's incredibly early on in the season, right? We're all still finding our feet. We're all still seeing what's up. But yeah, it just feels like this kind of, it's, and I don't know if we've got the stats on this about how many ISO possessions and stuff like that, like, is league average, but it must be that Newcastle have got to be up there.
Yeah, okay, let me go into this. Okay, so we see this with Mark Stutel's kind of game plan.
Did you guys text
right?
each other to plan this?
Yeah.
What a caveat.
Weren't you
Introduction
involved
meeting,
in this? You see
There
the
must be a-
text, bro.
There must be a secret WhatsApp without.
But anyway, Mark Stutel's game plan, we saw it in the playoffs last season. He loves attacking mismatches in ISO situations. He loves manipulating matchups, basically. And that's how he kind of recruits. He recruits a lot of switchable, kind of versatile players like Marco Antony. Perhaps potentially what he saw in someone like that dude from NBLD1, the forward that I'm forgetting. But yeah, Malcolm Smith. But yeah, that's kind of, I think that's kind of his game plan. He's looking to get these matchups. So yeah, I didn't add much, but
Actually, maybe I'm glad I didn't get that text. But if we look at the other side of that game, the Lions, our Lions value for money. We obviously know the chat is that they can only play 4 imports because of how much money they're clearly spending. Rumored to be above $1 million. Like it was 800 grand. Above 800 grand, you can only get 4 imports. They've got whatever it may be. But yeah, if you're a Lions fan and you're seeing some of the results, obviously even consider Euro Cup results where it's not been good. Their play's not been great. Obviously, Sabonis, a first-year pro, but you've got an experienced coaching setup, experienced GMs there. But our Lions value for money.
I mean, if you buy a ticket, no, because the Zalgiris the Zalgiris game was 40 quid or whatever it was. Yeah, I think if I were bankrolling the London Lions to the tune of £1.5 million, I'd be wanting to see more ruthless basketball. I think, we're all huge fans of the league and we all think quite highly of the standard of play, but in terms of, what they're spending to be able to participate in Europa Cup, because I believe there is a spending floor that your roster has to be earning. If they're going to be spending that much, they should be absolutely smashing most people in our league. And there's been a ton of really, really close games. They're obviously 4-0, which you can't get
which
better
is then
than that.
so hard to debate. Like you're like, yeah, but they're winning games.
They're winning games.
Like winning games.
But yeah, I think just the manner in which they're winning, I think it's, if they were beating everyone by 30, we're slagging them off for something else. But they're beating everyone, but they're not beating everyone hard enough, so we're slagging them off again. Like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're Lions fans. But yeah, I think there's definitely a gap between the expected outcome if you're spending that much cash on players versus, people who are first-year pros out of JUCO. Do you know what I mean? That are on other teams.
But okay, so I think the Newcastle score kind of flattered Newcastle a little bit. I'm going to say that to preface, but I think personally, I think in terms of kind of value for money, I think the SLB teams are some of the best in the world, practically speaking. We see that in the end. I know that's kind of standing, that's kind of being a stand, but we see it in the ENBL, we see it in the Europe Cup. The past few seasons where we've faced like teams with £1 million budgets plus, and we've won. So
Gladiators won.
Okay, Scottish geezer, calm down. But okay, basically, yeah, they're not good enough, and I think a good portion of it is kind of the lack of experience coaching wise. We've seen in Euro Cup kind of the level of coaching isn't really on par. A lot of broken plate and ISO, not a lot of actions, kind of a lot of single action stuff, not great to watch really. And then some of the personnel we've had issues with. It's a common occurrence where we say McGusty's a fraud in the Discord chat. Look, okay, he hasn't been great, and he played very well in Poland. I mean, we'd expect him to do well in our league, to be perfectly frank. He hasn't done very well. I think that's a good part in terms of coaching, because he's been practically played solely in ISO, to be honest. And he hasn't really created that much isolation wise. He's not a top level athlete. He's obviously a good level athlete, 6'6", very quick, skilled in terms of his shot and his handle, in terms of creating in the mid-range. But in terms of like high-end athleticism, where our league is very athletic, potentially, that kind of mitigates some of the stuff, whatever. Okay, but we see some of the personnel just hasn't really been good enough, really, practically speaking. So are they value for money? No.
It feels like they've lost like that aura of like, and I know this isn't like the Sam Decker Costa Kufos Lions. It was like, fuck.
Even
Even
last season, they had an aura around them because Bozic had them moving the ball. Their defense was incredible.
That's the difference.
Like they were even under Schmidt as well. Like the movement of off the ball, on the ball, like the coaching. I know, Kate. Yeah, genuinely, if you're 100% right there. Anyway, keep going.
No, yeah, I think that's just like it's exactly that. It's just there's something's missing from this. Like they're not. They seem not. You wouldn't be surprised if they lost half a dozen games this season. The way they're going, I think you wouldn't be surprised if they got.
Okay. Maybe not half a dozen, but yeah, right, like 10 or so.
3 or
I'd
4.
Say 3 or 4.
Yeah,
nah,
so
10.
But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, and again, it feels mad to be talking about this because they're 0-4, they're in the top of the league. But like, they feel beatable, and they shouldn't feel beatable when they've got 4 times the budget of anyone else. So yeah, it's just very interesting to see.
It's definitely one to watch. I'm curious to see if they make changes, because I mean Zalgiris also got their first Euro Cup. Only got their first Euro Cup win this week, didn't they? Did I remember seeing that?
I haven't seen.
I know they're defeated in the league.
Yeah, so that's all we want to see. All right, on to Saturday's game. Gladiators at Surrey. Johnny Bunyan gets his first win of the season. Kevin Allen's still the greatest player in the league, and this is running all season, Louis. Be ready for it. All right. I hope and until I don't get a reaction from you, it's coming at you.
It's gonna happen every time.
Yes.
Anyway, oh, for God's sake!
There he is again. Grant's been stupid. Kevin Allen, buddy. Glad's at Surrey. Surrey now on a bit of a slide after that win against Manchester. Gladiators picking up their first win, going to 1-3. a good first win, a dominant performance. What can it mean for the Gladiators, and what questions do we still have, Matthew?
I think that it's huge that you guys have got your own. The Glads got the first win. I think it's a bit. I feel like it's quite easy to become a bottom feeder team in this, or it would be quite easy to be like the league whipping boys of the SLB.
We had one season.
I know, but do you know what I mean? But the perception around the league, we all made our predictions. Like everyone made their predictions. A lot of people are like, if you finish down the bottom, then there's no one expects you to climb back up to the top.
Yeah.
Okay. I think between it was always for me. It was like Surrey, Gladiators, and Cheshire were all that kind of fighting towards the bottom for me. No one was expecting the Riders to go 0-4, but yeah. So yeah, huge that you guys got the win. Obviously, Surrey got that win on the first day of the league, first game out against Manchester, but have been winless since. And now Cheshire have kind of won back to back after going 0-3 in the middle. So I think you don't want to be, and I don't know if this is a really harsh analogy, but you don't want to be circling the drain of the league. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice that you've got that, and hopefully you can build momentum on top of it.
And I suppose, Louis, you quite liked when we did our pre-season, like Ragsdale from a pure shooting point of view. Like I think he's must be one of the best shooters we've seen to start the season so far.
By far. He's crazy. You allow that on any space he's hitting. I mean, I saw that in Pro A Germany, but the one thing I kind of tweeted about it, the one thing I didn't really expect, because he looks slow in Germany. He looks, okay, he doesn't look fast, but he looks acceptably quick. So he can get to his spot, okay, which means combined with his shot-making ability is tough. Okay, so they do have a lot of scoring. Spacing is legit. Okay, their three-point shooting is legit. And that will be like a common factor. I mean, they still have all the issues that, I've kind of brought up. But, in terms of their shooting, they will be able to put up points. If they get a hot shooting night, that's always a factor. So, I mean, in terms of like win propositions and kind of creating the conditions to win, they do have this constant threat of the three-point line, and obviously Kevin Allen scoring the ball,
league's leading scorer.
They do have that.
Sorry, facts. Just telling you facts.
So they do have things. So there you go.
League leading scorer Kevin Allen. Did you not see his dunk? He got off the ground. You told me he couldn't jump.
I did see that. You did share it to me after it happened.
At Louis.
Yes, I saw the link you shared.
Yeah.
It's happening all season until it stops. Sorry. But as a case, when you look at the Gladiators, they've got that good shooting. Their limitations are still on point. Had they won that Eagles, I mean, you can't change the past, but had they won against Eagles opening day, which they probably should have done in regular time, it shouldn't have gone to overtime, and we're sitting 2-2. I think we'd all say that's them overachieving for the first 4 games. Would that have been like the harsh sign though? Being 2-2 would maybe have been level par or a couple under in a good way. Like, you don't expect to win at Sheffield away. You don't necessarily expect to win at Cheshire away. Like, this is where I think we said, I don't know if it was last week's show or the week before, winning on the road could move you up a couple of places. If you get a good winning percentage on the road this season, could make a big difference. This is when I want one of you to give me a fact about how many games have been won on the road, when actually London, this weekend is probably the first weekend where it's been with the away teams. Obviously only 3 games, but 2 away wins, Lions and Glads next defending home court. But it feels as if home court is going to be so advantageous. Like, Newcastle's place a difficult to go. Sheffield don't lose a lot at home. Cheshire seem to never lose at home. Let's be honest. We'll touch on them in a second. But let's talk Surrey now. They've let a couple games go at home. They're a team that seems to be live or die by their DNA this season of just shooting threes. where they don't have that Mervyn James or that Dame Adelekin that they had last season that can get them points inside. Like, it feels as if Lloyd's almost gone back to previous Surrey incarnations of game plan. Is that fair enough?
I think what I've noticed from Surrey is, like, they seem a really small team. Like, the roster, yeah, mega small. So, and they, like, I've noticed, like, I'm no tactician, but, like, when they kind of go for dribble penetration and they start sort of like someone will sort of rush in, they'll do a load of pump fakes, and then they'll just shit themselves and then try and just chuck it out to the wing. Like, there's just, it feels like because they're so small, they're very hesitant on that kind of stuff, and they're kind of, yeah, like you say, just jacking threes, but they're not very efficient at all. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like you said, they've got this game plan, but you can see they're just not the thing they're trying to do. They're not, and the thing they're focused on and operating around, and that's their identity. They're just not very good at the one thing they do. So yeah, it feels weird. And then, like, so yeah, like, kind of as I touched on, they had a really good win against Manchester, of all people, to open the game, and then yeah, they've been got obviously smacked by the Flyers, and then lost by 15 against the Gladiators. So yeah, it's just lean times for Surrey. I don't know what to do for them.
Yeah, so from my perspective, a lot of it's defensive execution. Like that Bristol game, their pick and roll defense was awful. It was terrible, to say the least. Against Caledonia, they gave up how many threes? So stuff like that. But if we look comparatively against last season, okay, they had a guy like Jalen Ray at the guard spot. Instead, they have Keno Lilly at the 2 spot. In terms of kind of his creation of the dribble, Keno's he's definitely not as dynamic as Jalen in terms of creating his own shot. I think he's can be quite like bad shot selection. Basically, he's a tough shot maker that it's not great. In terms of the 1 spot, they don't have a similar quality level of quality to Cam Gooden, I don't think, in terms of kind of. I mean, Cam was such a shifty player, difficult to kind of guard. I don't think. I mean, I like some of the things that Ronald Polite has, but no, I don't know. But things like Isaiah Small not being able to shoot the 3, I didn't like some of the actions they ran where kind of Isaiah Small was kind of asked to handle the ball and create his own looks. I didn't really like that at all. He's not really that type of guy. But I think that's kind of exacerbated by some of the limitations elsewhere, where they're kind of forced into position where they have to, have someone like Isaiah Small kind of create their own thing, because elsewhere they don't have someone. Well, because they got in some offensive droughts where others weren't creating, basically. And then I think at the 5 spot, I think their current 5, their import 5 has been quite mediocre, to be perfectly frank. He's an excellent offensive rebounder, which Surrey likes. But in terms of providing value, that's not really the most, because if he can't, if he struggles to finish around the rim, if he's not creating looks at the rim in terms of value adding there, it's not the best. So I think there's just like several holes in the roster. And with their defensive execution, it just creates like a whole, tough thing. And obviously Nedas is playing a lot of minutes. I love that. Obviously, big Nedas stan, but it's tough. It's tough.
So I just had a look, and fair to say Ronald Polite is probably one of their like main scorers. Like, he's pretty good. Had a good.
Yeah, because my thing is, in college he was not that guy at all. In college he was kind of like a lower usage, kind of maybe not pass first, but kind of, not kind of like not a big offensive piece in their teams. Let's just say that. So for him to be forced into that position, that's not great. Continue. Sorry.
So he's currently shooting 14% from three.
He's not a shooter
for the season, no. which is horrific. So it looks like he's like, he's getting his 16, 17 points a game, but his efficiency is just woeful. Like it's 2 points. He's like 60% from two as well. So it's just like, but yeah. So it's just weird. So yeah, I don't know what to think about Surrey at all, really, and I don't know where the green shoots are. Apart from Nedas, of course, we all want Nedas to win. But
all right, final game of the weekend. Annoying when there's only three. Sheffield at the Phoenix. We had buzzer beaters. We had comebacks. Foul or no foul, or was it just Sharks throwing the game away? What were they up by 13 points or something?
It was a foul.
It was definitely a foul.
I don't think
it was a foul. I showed you the proof, Grant. I showed you the proof. His elbow was extended. That's a push-off.
All I see is Nick Cairn flapping around.
Oh, okay. Okay, go on.
Two things can be true at once, Grant.
Yeah, okay.
You can be floppy, but you can still be foul.
You can be floppy. Pause. Okay.
Mate,
should Sharks have thrown away that game? Okay, look, be serious for a second. Can we get back on track?
Sorry,
okay.
We'll have a beer. That's all right.
Okay, so should Sharks have thrown away that game? No, that was bad execution down the stretch. That shouldn't have happened. Turnover, etc. Shouldn't have happened. Okay, but like there was a good comeback in the third. He came back, then they threw it away.
I mean, was it not a point? I think I was chatting to Matt about this yesterday. Knicks opened, was it the third quarter, with 5 threes back to back to back to back when Cheshire took the lead. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, Sharks were up. Like, is that just how both those teams play? Just really streaky, unable to really put games away, or not being able to consistently play for 40. Like, that feels to me the issue with the Phoenix. Like, they should have buried the Glads a few weeks back, yet that game Gladiators still were kind of in it the whole way through it. Are we at a situation where, I mean, it looked like LaQuincy's now showing up. He plays that hard-edged kind of way, got to the basket a number of times, forced some contact with Nick Cairn, but the Sharks shouldn't have been in that situation. The game was up. They didn't score for 3 minutes. They didn't have an inbound play. They turned it over.
I think the Knicks are a really good 35-minute basketball match team. But I think if their threes aren't landing, they don't really have a plan B. Defensively, they're really, really fragile. I think they've kind of shipping over 90 points a game over the season, which is gross. But they can score. But I think so. Yeah, you can never really put them on the ropes, and I think Sheffield probably let them back in. But I think maybe Sheffield have to be kind to Sheffield. I think maybe they haven't been playing very well, but that's still only the second loss of the season. So I think it's, they've kind of bookended the season with losses at the moment, but they still have 1-3, albeit against Riders who suck, Gladiators who are still finding their way, who suck, and Newcastle, which is fine, but
who suck? No, yeah, okay. I thought we were just saying everyone sucks.
So Sharks still find themselves in third place in the league, and they haven't, I think, to their own standards, probably haven't been playing very well. So I think that probably speaks to a pretty good.
Do we give them more space because they're not spending £1.5 million on their roster? Like when what you're just saying there,
yeah.
Like they've lost 2 games, but
they're not playing very well.
Whereas the Lions are 4-0.
Yeah, we've been more critical.
They're only playing 5 imports, guys. Remember that.
True.
James still hasn't taken the floor, so let's just say that. Okay, do you want me to be serious about the game? Okay, a lot of it was Sharks' transition defense. That was a big part of the game. Okay, and also I think there were some lineup adjustments where there were several lineups with Will Lee at the 5. And in terms of like physicality and rebounding on the physicality on the boards. Kind of Knicks' activity kind of made it so that they had a lot of like offensive rebounds and extra like second chance opportunities, etc. So that kind of impeded, and then stuff happened. They started scoring, and good stuff happened.
What difference will Mervyn James make to them?
Huge. I think he's the shit.
Last season, last season's leading scorer, but he's coming into a team who have all kind of adapted to roles. I mean, is he out with a blood clot? Is that what the chat is? That's not a good fight to be out when he's so young. That's
Wembanyama came back. Wembanyama had a blood clot in his shoulder.
Wemby's also an NBA guy with the best care in the world in the NBA.
Can a medical arena grant?
No offense to the Cannon Medical Arena, but I think the San Antonio Spurs will be putting all sorts of things through for Wemby.
You don't know what's going on at the Cannon Medical. They've got what?
Do the Cannon Medical know what's going on? What they've got?
Got high quality facilities, Grant.
They've got drop down baskets.
Okay.
All right.
Mic drop.
No,
I can't come back to that. So
fair enough. But is this one of these ones where both these teams, when we look at the schedule, Knicks at home, Sheffield on the road, Sheffield had a chance to win it. It didn't go their way. Do you dust down, go on to the next one, knowing, what, away wins in Cheshire are really difficult to come by? It went down to the buzzer. Look, Quincy Riddle having the balls to take that shot, though, and to create that, a referee's not calling that in that moment. That's a game decision.
A ref that's not got experience,
It was the refs not at that game. I think it was two former SLB refs anyway, or BBL refs anyway.
It wasn't that guy. It wasn't that guy. It was a new guy. Definitely.
New guy.
He's definitely a new guy.
All right, Mr. Sheffield. All right, let's move on from that one. Really curious to see what happens with both those teams. But when we look at the season as a whole, we were a wee bit chatting in the Discord. Like, Surrey have been a team that perennially have sold out, struggling to get 6%. It looks, when you look around most arenas still, attendances aren't fantastic. London having to move a game from the Copper Box to one of the colleges. I don't know, what's the college that the women's team play at? Because that's where they play.
New City College.
That's the one. How can the league level up? How can the league go? We talk about the whole civil war and whatnot, but actually when the SLB look at themselves, or British basketball tops professionally look at themselves, what can they do better? Attendances, I think, across the way aren't fantastic. They're not. We should be, when you think no arena outside the Copper Box is, well, I never remember what Newcastle's attendance is, but nothing is bigger than 3,000. Why, when we have maybe a game a week or game every fortnight, why are games struggling to even get half, 60% full? You look at the effort Manchester went for opening game against Cheshire, having to almost undersell themselves. What is it? What is it as a league collectively they need to do to level up? Is it what they need to do media-wise, marketing-wise? Is it what they do with their highlight tapes? Is it what they have a collective community outreach? I just feel like teams, or is this individual teams need to do better? Because, Cheshire always looks pretty full.
Yeah, but that's also a really small arena.
But it's one of the smaller arenas. It would have been some atmosphere to be in when Quincy hits that final shot, though. Let's be honest. But every place would be classed to be in when that final shot goes. So yeah, what do you guys think the league needs to do to level up?
I'm a marketer by trade, so my head would always.
You've never mentioned that.
Not today. Yeah. So I think it's just visibility, but it's also who are you going after? What's your target demographic? A lot of, if you go to, SLB games up and down the country, it's very family focused, I'd say. So, with games being on a Friday night or a Sunday, it's either the kids have all been at school or the kids have got school in the morning. So is that a thing that is impacting stuff? a lot of our teams have really big, successful age group and community basketball stuff. Like, can there be better jobs done of getting the people that are already there, playing basketball through the week, into watch the game at the weekend? Like, what are the connections there? Like, that's interesting too. So it's kind of, I'd say it's, but then on the league side, to kind of get cut through more generally, like, I'm always a fan of, there should be, whatever the SLB want to call it, like a match of the day would be very cool. We had it in the 777 days. I thought that was pretty good. So, like, just highlights of all the games with a bit of context added in by some charismatic people, to kind of whip up excitement. And anyone, if you've got people that like the NBA, for example, or like basketball, and they're cruising on the zone looking for something else, then you'll find a really easily digestible and very quick to get you up to speed context setter and storyteller for the league. I sound like Aaron Radin, where I'm like, it's a content business, but it is. Like, there's no point having really, really good basketball if no one knows it's happening. So I think that's the kind of stuff that could always do better. And I don't think it's, knowing the people that do the media for internally at SLB, like, there's the appetite there and they're good at what they do and they're very passionate people. But maybe it's a budget thing. Maybe it's just, we just need more of what we're doing. I'm not sure what the factors are that are affecting that, but I think that's, for me, that's where it starts.
Anything, Dadley?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Matt's the experienced guy, but I mean, we've touched on this previous episodes, and Matt's kind of, he's said a lot of the stuff we have, but obviously more value. So basically, it's creating this level of, I've said it a lot, but it's creating this level of kind of attachment surrounding the league externally from just the game day experience. No, we don't do that. Like Matt said, there's obviously a big budget. There's not big budget concern. There's not really much of any budget really, and you need full-time people to really do that sort of thing, create that sort of level of engagement. But that sometimes they just don't help themselves with some of the press releases, etc. We've experienced that. Creating this level of engagement, constant updates, in terms of creating engaging constant updates in terms of what's happening in the league, because you need to make it easily digestible, because people don't want to work to consume something. They want to have it easy, and they want it attractive. They want, they don't want to have to wade through loads of stuff, and they don't want to, stuff like that. But just more content, just better content. Like Manchester, sorry, Grant. Like Manchester uploaded a couple videos on YouTube, which is great. But the thumbnails, like titles, stuff like that, is important in creating like media that's going to be viewed. Stuff, just the little things and stuff like that. So go on.
No, I was just going to add in, like, the desirability of our product. Like, we are the converted. Like, we are the converted. We like what we see. Louis, you said our league is one of the most underrated, and we, pound for pound, we seem to do pretty well against whatever. Like, how can teams enhance what they do? I would love to see teams interact more on social media. I know Matt got Manchester, again, we're mentioning Manchester, have probably been the league leaders in interaction or two-way communications on social media this year, let's be honest. And two-way communication can be good and bad. But a lot of teams don't do any of it. They put out a message or whatnot, and then you hear nothing. Like, it's not. Whereas Manchester, like, what was it you put out? You got a wee bit of hate for that from someone, didn't you? No, sorry. But Manchester interacted with it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Leicester did, to their credit.
Oh, did they? Okay, I didn't see that. But some teams will interact. Cheshire, another team that'll quite likely like at least a post. But Manchester will get involved in a bit of back and forth. And I think that's so important.
It is. I think that's how people connect with brands. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you want people to care about your brand. You need to show that your brand stands for something or has some sort of personality or has something to say. Like if you're just getting into British basketball when you're kind of sort of, you're not going for you're living in a kind of an area of the UK that doesn't have its own city represented in the SLB, and you could like anyone. They're all the same in terms of like what their messaging is and their brand sort of tone of voice and all this kind of stuff. Like there's no like, oh, they're funny or that's like their content is entertaining and different. Obviously as a Flyers fan, I'm biased, and they've got Jonathan Brown doing game day vlogs and all this kind of stuff, and he's very good and all this kind of stuff. So it should be, there should just be more, always more. But then you kind of, you need the players to sign on to it. You need that to be kind of co-signed by the team as well. You need that kind of, the team needs to give the players the opportunity to show that personality, and that's what you do. Like Bristol's podcast is incredible, and the Cam Holden episode specifically. Cam Holden's been this is his third year in the league. I didn't know anything about Cam Holden. Didn't know anything about Cam Holden. Now I'm like, he's sick, and like he's just like had loads of really cool, insightful stuff to say, and obviously was very complimentary about Bristol because he's not daft. But like, yeah, it's just like the more airtime you give players and the more kind of reason you give them to interact with the wider public, then the better, and the more people give a fuck, and the more people will turn up on game day.
Are we turning our league into a contents business?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing.
And on that bombshell, basketball might return. We might just talk about who can do the best karaoke singing next week. That's going to be our draft. Draft your karaoke Spice Girls from British Basketball League players.
What? You're so old.
You're the oldest one on this one.
Older than you.
But anyway, you always say SLL season 2, you'd hope, okay, put aside all the political back and forth, civil warring, you'd hope that there's been things in the background to be like, okay, how can we level up? Like, we've got almost the same level of stuff on DAZN. There's a few more features I know being added to that, which will be fun. There's been player interviews already done that's appearing on that. They're beginning to get a little bit samey. Like, I've seen Total Fag Bentley's now for about 3 weeks, but hopefully there's more going to come out because we like to learn about players. Like, we genuinely do. I mean, that's hopefully as the season progresses, we'll get a couple of players, coaches, etc. on this podcast. Like, that's what we want to do. So hopefully this will all happen. Do we look to next week's fixtures?
Yeah.
You want to do that? Do we have a wee gander to see, I think we've got more than 3 games to start with, which is nice to see. Have we got more than 3 games? I'm now worried that I've said that. We've got more than 3, we've got 4.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. 5?
A busy week next week.
5?
Busy. Was it 5?
I think so.
This is when the basic counting skills of 2
people, on the 17th, 3 on the 19th, no?
No.
Okay.
Still only 4, Matthew. Cheshire can't play 2 games in the same day. They're good, not that good.
No, well, first off, they're not good, but okay.
All right. I don't even remember if we'd predicted games last week, but on the Discord, I got all 3 games right. I don't know if any of you guys played this week in that. I got all 3 games right, so well done me. Leicester hosting Newcastle Eagles. Where are we going in that one?
Newcastle.
Is that an Eagles win?
You've got to say Eagles win, right?
Biggest game of the weekend, and I'm generally curious to see. I mean, Louis is probably the deciding vote here. Gladiators at home, Flyers on the road. You'll hear Grant Young on DAZN. That could be the one. That could be your deciding thing on Friday night.
I select Grant. Grant wins.
Grant wins. Brilliant.
Grant wins. Obviously, it's Flyers, man. Come on.
MVP Will Yoakum is going to continue. So
I'm genuinely excited for this game. I'm really curious to Bristol. I mean, Matt Hardy didn't let me have a Bristol Flyers love-in. Was it either last week or this week in the podcast? Because I was going to issue a public apology for predicting them to be last, because they're generally been probably the best team to watch this season. But Matt said we're not allowed to do it, so I'm not doing it. On the Sunday, we've got London Lions hosting the Gladiators.
Glads, obviously. I'm not
Yeah,
selecting
boy.
Glads London.
But we're
It's a back for the Glads.
are London playing Eurocup this week? Is this the reason that they've moved that game? Is that the reason they've moved that game? Wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
I think London. So I think it'll be interesting to see the bounce back from that. I mean, still likely a London win. And then maybe the funnest game of the weekend. Cheshire hosting Newcastle.
What about the Sharks game?
Where have I missed one?
Yeah. Sharks versus Cheshire game.
Where?
There is, definitely.
You're at it, mate.
I'm not. I'm actually being serious. I'm looking
at live stats right now.
There is, man.
Cheshire play Newcastle on the 19th.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, live
that out.
I mean, we go by live stats. I mean, I'm now going to have to edit this because that is absolutely terrible scenes. You know what? I'm leaving it in. I don't care. Don't care. Cheshire Phoenix hosting Newcastle Eagles. I think this game could be super fun. I expect players to get ejected. I expect coaches to throw chairs, suit jackets, insults. Skylar White shooting threes for fun. Maceo Jack's return to Ellesmere Port.
Hey, there you go. There's
the storyline there. That's what we want to hear.
But if I'm honest, I was not having a good time. But yeah, Maceo Jack coming back to Ellesmere Port. I feel like LaQuincy would want to beat him because of.
LaQuincy wants to beat everyone, and because it's LaQuincy's house.
Yeah, he doesn't need much of an excuse, but yeah, I don't know. I struggle to pick Cheshire anytime. But I picked Newcastle earlier, so let's say Cheshire. They make it a 3-game win streak against Newcastle.
So we're saying 3 home wins and 1 away victory. Leicester being the only team to drop a game at home this weekend.
I mean, I haven't selected yet. Newcastle.
I generally think it'll be such a fun game on Sunday afternoon. Like, when I finish on Sunday, no, I'm not even working. The Glads are away. When the Gladiators game finishes against London, I will be instantly on the zone watching that one. I mean, the games will be on at the same time, but you know what I mean. I think it'll be definitely a fun one to watch. All right. Anyone got anything else to add? Awesome. If you can, go check out what Matt and I's discussion on both any podcast platform or YouTube. Our discussion around Chris Grant departing the BBF and what it could mean and what it all kind of says in our. Was it half an hour? We spoke for half an hour? I think it was about half an hour yesterday.
It was pretty quick.
Pretty quick, but also quite long. I actually thought it'd be shorter than that, but we'll take that. So, everyone, thank you for continuing to get involved. Give us a follow. Share the guys. You'll notice every time we produce something, the quality of the production, the learning and the editorial work gets slightly better, I hope. So you might see our social tags underneath names and whatnot this week. If not, it'll be next week, I promise. Give the guys a follow. Give us a like, a subscribe, whatever else. If you're on any podcast site, give us a review, even if it's not nice. Don't hurt our feelings.
Don't do that, please.
Or just don't do it. If you don't like us, into the DMs of Matt Hardy. And he'll happily discuss with you. But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you guys. And then, we'll be back next week.